There you go. Oh yeah, and this is the new internet as well, so we'll see if this is any better. Good evening, and welcome to the Dark Mirror Show. Just bear with us because we're trying to get it to come up on the actual web page so we can share the flipping thing. And do you think it's come up online? Because we're trying to.
Yeah, got it. I've got it online. Just can't share it.
Actual web page so we can share the flipping thing. I've got it. Hang on a minute. I've just got to mute it. Just 1 minute. All right, let's do that.
Just can't share it.
Web page so we can share the flipping thing. I've got it. Hang on a minute. Yeah. Copy the link. So right, copy the link. Come back out of there. Go back onto my normal page. This newfangled trickery. This. Right. Yes. Hang on. Have we cracked it? Here we go. Right. Let's just see if I can share the link in there. And that looks like I've managed to share it. Yeah, you have to put the video on, and then you've got to mute it, and you've got the 3 dots. Click on the 3 dots, and you can copy the link.
No, I ain't got that privilege.
Can I share it at all?
No.
That's just not bloody good enough. You're an admin on the page as well, so you should have it.
I'll come out and come back in.
This week we're going to be talking mainly.
Change video quality, save video. No, I'm not getting anything on there.
We have a Taylorius Malorius Dinosaurus Rexus in the chat room. And this Sunday, I will be doing a review mirror, hopefully with Taylor. And if she's not there, I'm just going to go ahead and do it on my own anyway. And it'll be 8 o'clock Sunday. So Taylor, be there. Right. Hey, Andy. Oh, I'm flipping out. My other daughter, Becky's there as well. Hey, Becky, you all right, darling? Hang on. There you go. Oi, oi. Savaloy.
Right, I'm gonna have to. Oh, man, I got things missing here.
I heard the rumours. I'm going to have an early night as I accidentally had cocodamol. Do you mean? And you're allergic to it. Yeah, it makes your eyes a kite and horrible. And
I thought you were going to say Coca-Cola then.
No. All right, darling. I love you loads, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Give Finley a big kiss from me. And do the review mirror show with me Sunday, 8 o'clock. I'm
right, okay.
On one of the shows one day, Becky can stop swearing for 5 minutes.
There's something wrong there. I can't share. I've got no ability to share whatsoever.
Well, if you go onto my wall, you'll see it on there, and you should be able to share my one from there.
Hang on there. Let's go do a chop and change then. Bloop.
That's all right, Taylor. I'll start at 8. You join me at 8:30 after you put Finley to bed. All right. And Becky says, "Bro, I didn't even swear. Every time you have come on when I've been doing a show, you have been so." Yeah, she speaks like Bill and Ben the Flower Pot Man. Yeah, Bill and Ben are in bed one day, and Bill turns around to bed and goes, "Flobber lobber lobber lob," and Ben turns around to Bill and says, "Well, if you really love me, you'd swallow it." Anyway.
Okay. That reminded me of one about Bill and Ben in the bar.
Go on.
Bill went flubber, and Ben went, "Do you have to fart in the bar?"
Anyway, as I was saying, we are going to be talking all things aliens and disclosure and Rendlesham Forest and weird and wonderful things. Oh, I can do it now. I haven't got any grandchildren going to bed, so I can go aliens because I am the aliens guy. Because I say aliens and find a link to every single topic we're talking to. Please.
Speaking of aliens, we are going to have to arrange our War of the Worlds immersive experience.
Yes.
I definitely think it's got to be a midweek during August.
Yeah, and end of the month I can sort that out. Just let me know.
Okay.
So I'm quite looking forward to that. And Becky's going to wait till Watershed. All right. Yeah, that'd be quite cool. I'm looking forward to that. So what's happened so far this week in the world of aliens and weird stuff, or should I say in the world of the Dark Mirror radio show? Well, we've had the US full disclosure that was given to the Senate.
Sort of full disclosure.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get this off my chest. Like I've got family who live in America, etc., 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 and even they've said that the government over there thinks that they can pull the wool over the whole of the populace, and that they think the populace are complete idiots, and they're not. So you've got the American government saying, no, goddamn diggly dong ding dong, every single thing we've seen, no, definitely not from another planet. We don't know where it's from, but it's definitely not from another planet. And you've got the whole of the armed forces and the whole of the nation going, doing a Jackie Chan moment, going, aliens, enough. And then you've still got the American Senate going, no, definitely no. And then, meanwhile, the whole of the world is sat back, sipping their drink, eating their popcorn, and just waiting for America to go, you know what, mate, you're a knob. And then, what was it, 2 days after they brought out the full disclosure thing, where they said, nah, not possibly aliens, the US law lords, I don't know what you call them over there, but the US law lords over there have turned around and said that UFOs are a very real threat to their military and this, that, and the other, and that they're from other planets. So you've got the government saying, nah, not real. You've got the people that make the laws up going, yeah, actually they're real. And you got the whole of the rest of the world going, duh.
Yeah, I mean, the claim is that when the report was, the report that they've brought out so far was only actually able to confidently confirm the identity of a single UAP out of 144 reports.
Including all those videos and the Tic Tac video and everything that was seen. And they said,
so
no.
One out of 144, they could actually confidently confirm the identity of it. So the other 143, they haven't got a foggiest.
Yeah, they have said they don't know. They've said they don't think it's from another power, but they don't think it's from another planet. And they think it's,
and in the report it states we identified the object as a large deflating balloon. The others remain unexplained.
A large deflating balloon that can fly at that speed.
Well, if it's caught in the wind current, very fast wind current.
My ass does a very fast wind current, but it doesn't look like that in the videos.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, the actual the task force that was set to actually release this report, it was only actually focusing the reports on military aviators between 2004 and 2021. So
what about all the
it's only 17, 18 years. So they're not actually going back that far to when some of these bigger incidences happened, like Rendlesham Forest, the incident with the fire in the Fire in the Sky film was based on, you know, and Roswell.
What's his name?
Walton, wasn't it, or something like that?
Travis Walton.
You know, I mean, the Travis Walton incident, that was probably one of the biggest alien abduction stories going, and yet these reports are not going back that far. And yet they're more controversial than some of these other reports.
See, I've seen a lot of his interviews, and when he first reported it, he shunned all publicity, didn't want to make any money off it, this, that, and the other. And it's when you get the ones like that, or the ones that just hide it for however many years and then say, well, yeah, this happened, but they don't want to do anything about it. It's those that are the ones that make me go, oh, hang on a minute. But when you get the ones who go, it was a real bright light, and next thing I know, I woke up in the Jemima field over there, and I had no clothes on, and there was a deer licking something strange off my hoo-ha. It's those ones who get paid by the Daily Star and this, that, and the other. It's just like, nah, mate.
But I like what they've done with this report, though, because it says, like, what could the UFOs be? And they've stated that they don't know yet, and there's probably not a single explanation for all of them. The report lists 5 possibilities for what the UAPs could be. Something extremely benign like a UAV, flock of birds, or other airborne clutter like plastic bags. And that was officially made in the report. That was number 1. Number 2 was top secret US technology that the Navy and other agencies didn't know about.
They wouldn't have released the video because other agencies would have known and gone, don't release it.
Exactly. Number 3 was foreign technology from US adversaries like Russia or China. That's a possibility. Some kind of natural phenomena, atmospheric conditions that get picked up on instruments or cause weird illusions. The thing is, though, with natural phenomena, 9 times out of 10, when something strange naturally occurs, it's not long before it's been sussed out.
Exactly. And also the thing,
weird cloud formations, things like that.
I was going to say,
it don't take long.
Yeah, exactly, and they can be checked against weather maps and this and the other. But those ones, especially the Tic Tac one, that was tracked by several government agencies, several civilian agencies, and all of their equipment was working absolutely fine, and they all tracked it on the specific course and where it went and this, that, and the other. And they were going, deflating balloon.
Thing is, it's like the shelf clouds. Supposing they are telling the truth in a roundabout way, and they don't come from other planets, instead interdimensions, hence giving the string theory.
That is a possibility.
Well,
but
it's just one of the many possibilities that are available there. I mean, we're looking at, obviously, like with the string theory and everything else, but we're also looking at wormholes, being able to bend time to go from point A to point B in nanoseconds, just by folding space and time. But the last one, the fifth explanation, is the best one.
Go on.
Other. And that is the catch-all term for, we have no idea.
So, aliens!
So, 1 out of 144 of the reports that they looked into would have been the first one, which was the airborne clutter, like plastic bags. And all 143 of the other ones were other.
I don't understand why they still insist on thinking that everybody's going to believe them. And that even their own people are looking at their government going, you're idiots. You're all flipping idiots. But they still think that they can pull the wool over everybody's eyes. It's ridiculous. It's gone in the realm of fantasy now. I don't know. I mean, when you read the if you go onto the different sites and you read the replies on Americans commenting on what they think about the disclosure report, and they've all pretty much said complete and utter bollocks. They know it's aliens. We do.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Let's see. Why do people do that to me? Start ringing me while I'm on a live. Fucking idiots. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking on these. There's different. I mean, I was just looking on TheVerge.com, but it's also coming in on the ScientificAmerican.com as well. Experts weigh in on Pentagon UFO report. And 9 times out of 10, the first picture that comes up is the Tic Tac.
Yeah. I'm just looking at one now. What the hell is that?
Well, I've really got to take the screen protector off of this.
So I just had a UFO report come through with a load of pictures. Interesting, very interesting reading.
Yeah, I mean, Pentagon report says UFOs can't be explained, and this admission is a big deal. So basically, at the end of the day, they're admitting that there is something out there, and they don't know what it is. Basically, That in a nutshell, they ain't got a clue what they are.
They still seem to think that it's going to cause mass panic and this, that, and the other. It's not. It's really, yeah, you've got the religious people who used to say, if it was revealed, it would cause mass panic and this, that, and the other. But as we've said previously, even the Pope has turned around and said, yeah, don't have a cat fight now. My foot is there, you little so-and-so. Whoo, that much away from having a new tattoo on my foot. Whoo, sorry about that. Even the Pope has turned around and said, yeah, there's people from other planets. They have their own gods. We must support them. So, you know, if the Pope's saying that, why the hell can't they? And they've got stuff in their archives that I'd kill to look at. So, you know, if he could say that, why can't the government turn around and go, oh, do you know what, guys? Look at Cheyenne Mountain. That is the home of the Space Force. And there's so many reports about what goes in and out of Cheyenne Mountain that goes, again, into the realms of fantasy. But if there's no aliens or anything like that, and what's the need for a Space Force? Apart from, because you can't really, once you're up there, you can't say, this is our bit of space, that over there is Russia's, that over there is China's, that's England's, just don't come into our bit. You can't. There's no way you can govern that. Because that'd be ridiculous. No. So, what, you know, do you see what I mean? If there's no aliens or any threat or anything like that, then, or possibility of it, why have we got a Space Force?
Exactly.
A government is starting its own version of the Space Force.
If there isn't a threat to this planet from outside this planet, why have a Space Force?
Exactly. I don't think the majority of them are threats. I just don't think that they know what they're about yet.
Yeah. I've just tried accessing a site and it's not letting me on there. I can access loads of others. There's a site called UAP News.
Just in reply to Andy there, the first alien sighting was in 1561 over Nuremberg. It was, but there were also several paintings that were done before that, which allegedly depict aliens or UFOs.
And we could go back further than that as well. Remember when we were talking about the Aborigine cave paintings?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
The Nazca lines and things like that. You know, it may have been the first recorded incident of. In modern terms, but obviously you've got the Aborigine cave paintings with the alien wearing the helmet. You've got the Egyptian hieroglyphs. You've got the patterns in the Inca on the Inca stone tablets and things like that.
That Inca tomb depicts him in some sort of cockpit.
Yeah. So, you know, as long as human beings have been around, basically, there have been UFOs or UAPs. I will get used to saying UAPs now instead of UFOs.
Now I won't say UFOs. I'm too old. Aliens. Well, I mean, there is a theory, isn't there? That, well, it's not a theory. It happens every 30,000 years or something. The world resets itself or whatever it is. And there's and there's more and more things, as we've spoken about previously, that show that we've had intelligent life on Earth before us and reaching back towards the dinosaurs and before.
Yeah.
So, you know, what was it? Refined. It was a nuclear heavy metal refined. In Russia, they have found it.
Plutonium.
Is it uranium? I think it was uranium.
Uranium.
I think it was refined uranium or plutonium or something like that. But you can only get it by physically refining it, you know, with a process. It doesn't come naturally in nature. Yet that's been found, and it's something like 1.5 million years old, and it's been found over in Russia. They think they found possibly the remains of what may have been at some point in time their version of a nuclear reactor, and that's where it's supposed to come from. But again, it was like 1.1 or 1.5 million years old. And there's more and more and more evidence coming to light that we are not the first people here, and we are like the Mark IV of Earthlings, if you want. You know, like the legends about the red-headed giants. You know, we've gradually gone from being great big to little tiny. So, well, when we first came in, there was the land bridge between North America and India, and that's where the Native Americans came from, because they used to live along the land bridge. They had red-headed giants there, and there was it's in legends of pretty much all of the Native American tribes about the giants that they used to live. Some of them used to live in peace with, some of them used to scrap with, but they were left over from precursors, and they had people left over from the precursors before them, etc., etc., etc. So whenever there's a massive extinction event, you get little pockets of whatever was there live out and intermingle with the new ones that come along.
Right. I think I might have found something different here, but we were saying about refined, but it's actually enriched uranium.
Okay.
But apparently there are 3 different types of naturally occurring uranium, and it's composed of 3 major isotopes. So you got uranium-238, uranium-235, and uranium-234, which is the only nuclide existing in nature that is fissile with thermal neutrons. There are about 2,000 tons of highly enriched uranium in the world, produced mostly for nuclear power. So the U in the 238 remaining after enrichment is known as depleted uranium, which is what they used to do the bullets with.
I think that's what we spoke about, wasn't it? I'm sure it was depleted uranium that had been found, because we spoke about it about 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, well, that's what you get. That's what you get when you enrich the uranium. Once it's been enriched, it becomes depleted uranium.
Yeah, but whichever it was, I'm sure it's a depleted one. It was something only done by a manual process.
It is, and it's considerably less radioactive than even natural uranium, though still very dense and extremely hazardous in granulated form. Such granules are a natural byproduct of the shearing action that makes it useful for armor-penetrating weapons. Despite being mildly radioactive, depleted uranium is also an effective radiation shielding material.
The A-10 Thunderbolt fires depleted uranium rounds, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they gave that to the troops, didn't they? Bullets, our own bullets were being used with them, and they reckon that could have been what caused the PTSD when they did the investigation on it.
Well, they used as armor piercers, and they did their job well. You see what I mean, though? When you look into it, there's more and more. In fact, we'll have to do a show about it. There's more and more stuff talking about precursors. And they think that a lot of the tech that's been found isn't necessarily alien tech, but precursor tech. Whatever's been found in Antarctica that they've hushed up and won't let anybody talk about. You know?
Yeah.
Remember when all the world leaders got rushed off over to Antarctica and they all had to meet there?
Yeah, why Antarctica?
They allegedly, there was, again, we did a show about it. There was an ancient city uncovered by the permafrost, and when they started looking into the ruins and everything of it, there were humanoid creatures, the remains of, because they've been frozen, flash frozen as well. It wasn't a slow one. They'd been flat frozen. They were not like us. That's as far as I read into the reports, was that whatever being found, it wasn't Homo sapien, it was something else, and that's why all world leaders were brought there to go, ooh, looky. But of course, there are no aliens or anything. Eh? Yeah,
and they're all standing there going, "Ooh, I like the look of that."
Well, it was our prime minister that got sent there. It was oh god, not the woman. Can't remember her name.
That narrows it down.
The last woman prime minister, female prime minister we had.
Theresa May.
Wasn't her. Wasn't the bloke before her. Tony Blair. Tony Blair. Tony Blair went there.
Oh, Tony Tit. Yeah.
Yeah. when he was asked about it, he said not allowed to say. None of them were allowed to say. They all had to sign a document saying they never talk about it. But wouldn't you just like to be? I'd love to have been a fly on the wall with that one. Cool. Vatican archives are still to go in there.
Yeah. Be interesting, but they'll obviously cover it up, wouldn't they?
Oh God, yeah.
They're like, oh, we don't want to cause too much aggro.
And as Andy says, living in Zoo Earth, I was actually reading something today on the theory that Earth is pretty much an experiment and we're being watched or whatever by aliens. But again, if you look into all the old religious texts and the stuff about the Anunnaki and the Sumerians and this and that or the other, they talk about us. The aliens came down, did something to our DNA, turned us from crapping on our hands and clapping to going, "Hey, say old beam," and then they buggered off up there once they'd done what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then
I called it the Star Trek Genesis theory.
That's right. Yeah.
When they did that, when the old search for Spock, wasn't it, with the Project Genesis?
You will always be my.
And they turned a completely desolate wasteland of a planet into a thriving thingy, and then that's when they had to go and look for Spock, didn't they? But something went wrong with the terraforming, and that is quite a common theory that that's what they'd done. There was something already here, so they had to slam something into the planet to make a mass extinction, and in the process, put the genetic materials needed for the next stage of evolution of life. So I don't see why not.
It's frustrating as not just with like the paranormal, but I mean, yourself, the paranormal's a bloody great big bag. Because when people hear the word paranormal, they normally think just ghosts and hi Reg. Says hello girls. Not the last time I checked, Reg. The paranormal, people immediately think ghosts and this and the other. It's not. It's paranormal's everything that's the unexplained.
If it's not normal, it's paranormal.
Paranormal, yeah, or supernatural. But there's so many things coming to life, and I can remember back in the 80s when they were saying that nobody would be, the world would go to pieces if it was announced that there's aliens, and there'd be mass panic and this that, and the other. And I really, really think now that the world as a whole, in general, is just like, for God's sake, just get on with it.
I think with society being so more, how can I put it?
Open?
Yeah, being more open. Being more accepting of different religions or different beliefs. I think now that we've got so much more advanced with all of that now, where it's more acceptable in most countries. I think that was the stage we had to come across first before we could sort of say, right, okay, there are aliens, and here they are. And now we're at that stage. I think we are more than willing to accept the fact that there is something else, and more people now are starting to think that way, that there is something else.
Yeah, and it's going to be controversial, and I don't care, but we've got so many different genders now. If loads of you can accept all these different genders that have suddenly come out of the blue, then why on earth can you not accept the theory on aliens?
Exactly.
Walks out of the room.
You've got all these, I can't remember what they call it now, where they can, if they choose to be a certain way, regardless of what way it is, like Piers Morgan said on GMTV once, if he wanted to become a penguin or be classed as a penguin, then he should be allowed to be.
Identity.
Something like that. So, there's no reason why you can't do that.
Well, I mean, I've always been brought up, my mum and dad, my dad was ex-SAS, my mum's ex-army. I've been brought up to be very open-minded. And I accept, I've got a lot of friends who are gay, got a lot of friends who are bi, straight, whatever. And I accept that sometimes people can be born with a male body, but inside, mentally, they're completely female. and vice versa. You can be born in a woman's body but be male. And I understand all that, and I completely get that. In fact, I've seen that, and I've seen a couple of people. It's called transformation, whatever it is, and it completely doesn't bother me. I completely accept it. But when you get it annoys me that you've got all these ones, as you've just said. I'm a penguin. I'm not a boy. I'm not a girl. Where do I pee? In the fucking toilet like everybody else. If you can accept all that as everybody else does, then why the hell can't you accept that there may be aliens?
Well,
you know yourself, we are not the only planet that's got people like us sat there right now doing their own radio show saying yum, 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 aliens. There's out of whenever you see one star, there's supposed to be 2 to 3 binary planets capable of sustaining life. So billions of possibilities of life.
Yep. More than enough. I mean, when there was a survey done. When was it?
I saw what you said.
4 years ago, there was a survey done in 24 countries.
Hi, Louise.
And there was 26,000 people were surveyed.
Yeah.
And it found out that 47% believe in the existence of intelligent alien civilizations.
Yeah.
An even greater 61% said yes when they were asked if they believed in some form of life on other planets. And roughly a quarter of those said they do not believe intelligent life exists beyond Earth. Among those who believe we're not alone in the universe, 60% said we should try to seek contact with alien civilizations if found.
Yeah.
And that is an increase to a survey that was done 15 years, 10 years prior.
Well, they've now, isn't there? There's been that telescope that's been invented, and it's going up into orbit that can detect artificial light on other planets. It can detect the glow of like their version of streetlights and this, that, and the other. So that'll be interesting. But guys in the chat room, what's your thought on aliens? Do you think they exist? Do you think we're alone? What? Write a message below and let us know.
In the comments below.
I think you've got to be to think that we're the only planet in the whole of everything that's got. Do you know yourself? We look around sometimes. We think, really, this is intelligent life. This is as good as it gets. But look at the governments and the politicians. Yeah,
but again, when we'll always say this. When you look at the soil samples that came from Mars, there was fossilized remains of bacteria in that soil, which means at some point on Mars there was life, which then means that there was more than one planet in our solar system that had life on it.
That's right. Well, again, there's also it's another theory, but it was supposed to be twin planets, and they collided, and the debris, our planet and whatever, I can't remember the name of this other supposed planet was, but we collided, our Earth destroyed the other planet, and then what came sheared off ours, mixed with the debris of the other one, and centrifugal force made the moon. It's supposed to be. But then when you look at that, you've got these other ones who say that what was it? The Earth is hollow and it's a satellite where aliens watch us.
Well, every planet in the solar system is technically a satellite because they go around the sun.
Yeah. But the Earth being hollow, the moon being hollow, I think that's a bit of a... Because it's supposed to make a hollow noise if you knock it.
Yeah.
The trouble is, there's not many people you can say, when you were up on the moon, did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh shit! Just knocked on the wall. Neighbours are going to go, huh?
When you were on the moon last month, did you think of knocking to see if anyone was in?
Did you go? I've come to spread the word of God and knock on that.
Yeah. Would you like a copy of the Watchtower?
Oh. I could tell you some stories about buggering them off out of it in the past, but that will upset me, so I won't. We were going to talk about Wrentham Forest. very interesting case, and I've read that recently a former SAS soldier has come out of the blue and said that him and some of his old regiment did it as a prank on the US troops because of some previous thing that had happened that had pissed the SAS off. So they decided to get their own back on the troops there. But the fact that it was the USAF is beside the point. But when I read the report, I was like, you know?
Yeah, I think that was a smokescreen.
I do. I think something definitely happened, but then, of course, whenever you get something that's happened and it's been seen by multiple witnesses, you know yourself, you're going to get the powers that be get people to discredit it, disinformation, etc., etc., etc. You know, I mean, the whole investigation was a complete hash and a complete farce from start to end, like complete idiots. When you read the whole thing, little tiny report.
The problem is that at the particular time, there was still the ability for the US government to try and cover things up.
December 1980, wasn't
it? I mean, the very first reply to the case was that it was the lighthouse at Orford Ness.
That's right, yeah. And all the reports I've read and everything, they've all said there's no possible way it could be that. But then you get the ones who are going, oh, yeah, it was definitely that.
Well, I always thought that when I first heard that they were pointing the finger at Orford Ness Lighthouse, it reminded me of something that someone said at Trinity House. We've got a Trinity House place in Harwich where they maintain the buoys and the lighthouse boats and stuff like that. Yeah. And apparently the coastal lighthouses aren't allowed to shine their light inland.
No, they've got a blanket.
They've got a blocker.
Yeah, because you'll see it. All lighthouses, it spins and you see it go blank.
Yeah.
On again.
So as soon as the beam makes landfall, it goes behind the opaque glass, so it can't shine through. And then as soon as it goes away from landfall, it shines back out again.
Yeah.
So how could it be the lighthouse?
You've read. I think you've read quite or watched or read quite some of the same reports I have. And when you read the ones of the guy saying it's the lighthouse, it's always either the nutty forester who I'm going out and he's shooting for. I was watching the pheasants, making sure they weren't trying to get them, snaffle them, and I saw the lighthouse through yonder woods. It broke, and the beam went past me, blinded me like buggery for a minute, and then I thought that looked like an alien, you know. Or they get the USAF guy. He goes, no, god damn it, it wasn't one of them. It was yeah. But then when you see interviews with the guys who actually saw it, they come across as fairly credible.
Yeah, I mean, it's for it to be a hoax done by the SAS for peeing them off. I mean, I think it's just a little bit.
No, I read it and I was like, instant.
And it is. Rendlesham Forest itself is a bit of a strange place. I've been there a couple of times, and in broad daylight, it feels a bit strange.
I'll be going with you guys in September.
Obviously, in September, we will be heading out that way, and we will be walking around in that forest in the middle of the night.
And I am looking forward to that so much.
To see if ET comes back.
ET, the extra testicle.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, on there they said that the Holt memo, which is the one of the eyewitnesses.
Hey, Joe.
Can't remember what his name was now. The Holt, someone Holt, wasn't it?
I know there was
Lieutenant Colonel Holt. On his official memo, the first piece of primary evidence to be made available to the public was a memorandum written by the Deputy Base Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt. Deputy Base Commander.
Yeah,
that's a high-ranking.
Exactly.
That's a high-ranking official that has got too much to lose by coming out with some garbage.
Well, the thing was, they got the head of USAF Europe to come in within the next few days after it originally happened. So if it was nothing, why did he come in?
Yeah, I mean, he made the memo about 17 days after the incident.
Yeah.
The memo was dated 13th of January 1981, and it was titled "Unexplained Lights." And it was
Boxing Day, 1980.
It was, well, no, the incident itself was on the night of the 26th and the 27th of December 1980.
Boxing Day, 26th.
But his memo wasn't actually sent in until the 13th of January 1981.
Which in itself, you know yourself, you're ex-RAF, I'm ex-Army. If you've got a report to do, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get hounded to get it done, and it has to be.
It's got to be done straight away. And it was actually made available under the U.S. Freedom of Information Act in 1983.
Yep.
So there was a 2-week delay between the incident and the report, might account for errors in the dates and times given. The memo was not classified in any way. David Clark, a consultant to the National Archives, has investigated the background of his memo and the reaction to it at the MOD. His interviews with the personnel involved confirmed the cursory nature of the investigation made by the MOD and failed to find any evidence for any other reports on the incident made by the USAF or UK, apart from the Holt memo. Holt has since gone on record as saying he believes that he witnessed an extraterrestrial event that was then covered up.
Exactly. Well, it was the two that went over to it, John Burroughs, and I can't remember the other guys, but they've both had very bad health issues, and I'm sure is it the Veterans Association over there have refused to help them, and this, that, and the other. But again, over the years, they haven't really put themselves out there to make money off it or do anything off it. None of the people involved have, apart from the famous ones, like Nick Pope and this, that, and the other, who ex-MOD, he got the report from the Freedom of Information Act, and he's done so many shows and so many reports and in-depth stuff, and he knows what he's talking about. But it's, as I said before, it's the ones that are quiet and don't go after the glory or make money that I listen to.
Well, yeah, I mean, Holt's got too much to lose. He's deputy base commander.
Yeah.
But then after the actual memo came the Holt tape.
That's an interesting tape. That's a very interesting tape, that one, isn't it?
I've listened to that a few times, and I do find it quite intriguing. And in 1984, a copy of what became known as the Holt tape was released to UFO researchers by Colonel Sam Morgan, who had by then succeeded 10 comrades as Holt's superior. This tape chronicles Holt's investigation in the forest in real time, including taking radiation readings, the sighting of the flashing light between trees, and the star-like objects that hovered and twinkled. The tape has been transcribed by researcher Ian Ridpath, who includes a link to an audio download and also a step-by-step analysis of the entire contents of the tape. Well,
there's also you've got to think, when you think about it in the real time along with that tape, there was originally what was his name? I've said it just now. John Burroughs and a security team found it and reported it, and then what not a lot of people know is a second team was sent out, and they joined the original team, and they went and had a look, and that's when the base commander came out, because it wasn't just for one day, it happened over 2 days, and then you hear it, because he had the presence of mind to record it as he was going, and you can hear him clearly say, and the people in the background, it's that light, it's just taken off, it's gone over there, hang on a minute, it's coming back through the trees, what's it doing? It's turned around, it's coming back. And very clear, very concise, and you can hear he's, well, not to put too fine a point on it, he's bricking it, and it does come across as extremely credible evidence.
Yeah, I mean, John Burroughs was very quick to sort of poo-poo the whole idea, because he was one that suggested the lighthouse.
I was at RAF Nettie's Head on Saturday doing an investigation.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. They did track the UFO at Rendlesham Forest, and it was tracked by a couple of stations. And again, that's stuff that's left out of the
It would
report.
have been because any of the radar stations in the area would have tried to triangulate it to confirm its location.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right having the blip come up on the radar, but if you've got other radar stations around that area also confirming its location, they triangulate it so they can pinpoint it precisely.
Yeah, exactly.
And so by having them confirm it, it just proved that it was there. But when John Burroughs turns around and says, "Oh, we followed it for 2 miles and it turned out to come from a lighthouse," but straight away his skeptical side came into fruition, because then he said,
sorry, Wild Bill in there as well, who's another presenter of numerous shows. Good evening to you, Wild Bill. Yes.
"Oh, I'm a guest now, Mark. I've been demoted. I'm a guest now."
Guest? Wayne's my co-host.
But yeah, I mean, John Burroughs then reported a noise like a woman was screaming, and also that you could hear the farm animals making a lot of noise as if disturbed.
Yes, I was just reading the
I
report.
heard the same noises 2 nights later, and such noise could have been made by muntjac deer in the forest, which are known for their loud shrill bark when alarmed. So if it was muntjac deer that made that shrill bark when they were alarmed, what alarmed them?
There's also the second team that went in. It's fine, Bill. Don't worry about it, dude. The second team that went in, they had high-powered torches, and they saw like local fauna and wildlife and this, that, and the other. And they said that a lot of them, not just deer and this, that, and the other, but the foxes, everything, looked. They were all acting weird and acting like they were shaken and this, that, and the other. And as you say yourself, what's going to cause the deer to kick off like that? The deer to kick off like that. Do you know what? I need to put my teeth back in. I really do. And also, sorry, I just remembered. You know when they were taking the measurements and the radioactive measurements from the ground?
Yep.
There were indentations in the ground. There was a circle impression, and also, if I remember rightly, weren't there? There was 3 trees. Because that's not here in the report I'm looking at. I remember seeing this on something else. There was 3 trees that were burnt quite high up, and it was on the same level where the second team, not the first team, but the second team reported seeing the bright red light. And then when the 2 guys went forward and one of them touched it and got knocked out, again, the red light was at the same height as where the burn marks were on these trees.
Yeah, I'm just reading the thing we were saying about the indentations.
Yeah.
The official Suffolk police log, they actually said that when they looked into it, what was it? Suffolk police were called to the scene on the night of the initial sighting, and again the following morning, but nothing unusual. On the night of the initial incident, they reported that the only lights visible were that from Norford Lighthouse. They attributed the indentations on the ground to animals. The Suffolk Constabulary file on the case was released in 2005 under the UK's Freedom of Information Act, and can be accessed on their website. It includes a letter dated the 28th of July 1999, written by Inspector Mike Topless. What a name, eh? Mike Topless. Who notes that one of the police constables who attended the scene on the first night returned to the site in daylight in case he had missed something. There was nothing to be seen, and he remains unconvinced that the occurrence was genuine. The immediate area was swept by powerful light beams from a landing beacon at RAF Bentwoods and the Orford Nest Lighthouse. I know from personal experience that at night and certain weather and cloud conditions, these beams were very pronounced and certainly caused strange visual effects.
And as we've just said, they had to cut the light pollution down, and the backs of lighthouses when it faced towns and stuff are blancoed off.
But when you look at all the other logs, all the other bits of evidence on there, it's not until you look at the police log that they actually mention the beacon from RAF Bentwoods.
Yeah, exactly. And Take it easy, mate. Thank you very much for popping in.
Bye.
And he's also said, greetings, Mark and Wayne. But did you know that the police, they were forced to hand over jurisdiction to the USAF, and their written reports were handed over also to the USAF. So the reports that are out there now are not the original reports, because they had to hand them over to the people that took over. And allegedly also on the second day, according to several dozen eyewitnesses, when the head of the USAF Europe was flown over, he was supposed to have met with apparently aliens, but that was supposed to have happened on the second sighting.
Yeah, I mean they've also come out with a lot of there is a lot of hoax claims as well, other hoax claims. One was from the BBC that reported that a former US security policeman had claimed responsibility for creating strange lights in the forest by driving around in a police vehicle whose lights had been modified. But there's no evidence of this.
Not where the was seen, because that was right in the middle of a wooded bit. He wouldn't have got the bus in it. They wouldn't have got the vehicle in there. Another
explanation of the incident may have included a downed Soviet spy satellite, but no evidence to support that. The most plausible, skeptical explanation is that the sightings were due to a combination of three main factors. The initial sightings at 3 o'clock in the morning on the 26th of December, when the airmen saw something apparently descending into the forest, coincided with the appearance of a bright fireball over southern England, and such fireballs are a common source of UFO reports.
I've heard that one.
The supposed landing marks were identified by police and foresters as rabbit diggings. No evidence has emerged to confirm that anything actually came down in the forest. According to the witness statements from the 26th of December, the flashing light seen from the forest lay in the same direction as the Orford Ness lighthouse. When the eyewitnesses attempted to approach the light, they realised it was further off than they thought. One of the witnesses, Ed Cabanzag, described it as a beacon of light off in the distance, while another, John Burrows, said it was a lighthouse. Timings on Holt's tape recording during his sighting on the 28th of December indicate that the light he saw, which lay in the same direction as the light seen 2 nights earlier, flashed every 5 seconds, which was the flash rate of the Orford Ness lighthouse. The starlight objects that Holt reported hovering low to the north and south are thought by some skeptics to have been misinterpretations of bright stars distorted by atmospheric and optical effects, another common source of UFO reports. The brightest of them to the south matched the position of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. So,
Colonel Charles Hart, he was the head guy I was talking about. He was taken in and he brought a professional photographer with him. And according to this guy, this Colonel Hart, when they arrived, and the professional photographer, because he asked a photographer to go with him and take photos because he wanted to debunk the whole thing. Several military equipments were malfunctioning, including the floodlights, and Hart and his men went into the woods armed with a tape recorder and other equipment. And you've heard the recordings. Sergeant Robert Ball, one of Hart's team members, located the site where they believed the UFO had landed. They got an instrument out to do readings on the trees when one of the men noticed a red glowing object about a few hundred meters away. It began zigzagging around the pine trees and winking at them as it moved away. And that is when you hear the tape recorder saying, "You can see it through the trees. It's coming down. It's coming this way. It's in the trees. It's coming."
It's in the trees. But the good thing is as well about it is in 2005, the Forestry Commission, they got money from the National Lottery and they actually started the UFO trail.
That's right, yes.
And in 2014, the Forest Service then commissioned a local artist to create a piece of work to be installed at the end of the trail. So you walk the trail, and then right at the end of the trail, there's this bizarre-looking UFO thing that apparently is been taken off of the reports.
Yeah. Isn't it supposed to be where the sighting was?
Yes.
Hmm.
And that is what we'll be doing when we go up there in September. We'll be walking the trail, and we'll actually stand in the very spot.
Do you know how much I'm actually looking forward to that? I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. I'm like, ooh.
Well, I've been up to Rendlesham Forest, but I've never actually gone onto the UFO trail. So it's going to be a first for me. So I'm really looking forward to it as well.
Definitely.
It's bizarre because it's like, I know obviously it's a fictional story, but it's like H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds. I've never been to Woking and I've never been to Horsell Common.
You're not missing much in Woking.
But they've got artist statues done to, dedicated to H.G. Wells and War of the Worlds. So there's like a Martian tripod standing in the middle of the shopping centre, and Horsell Common actually exists, where the site of the first cylinder lands. And I'd like to just actually go there and think to myself, H.G. Wells actually wrote about this common, but in the original book, he also writes about Harwich.
Well, that's right. Wasn't it when Orson Welles read it out on the radio in New York in was it the 30s? People freaked out and thought it was real and killed, and some people committed suicide. There was
people committing suicide, and then there was militia gangs going round.
Yeah.
And they were standing on the back of their trucks and with shotguns and stuff, and they're going around and they're looking. And there was a recorded article where some people that had actually heard this broadcast and actually jumped on the bandwagon, they were going around in a truck, and as they were coming through a clearing from these woods, there was a water tower came into view. And because they were so hyped up, they took pot shots at it and split it open. They actually shot at this big water tower. And they literally riddled it with holes.
See, as much as I could sit there and go, America, we'd probably do that over here. If something happened like that over here and we thought it was real, you'd get the ones who've got the farmers with their shotgun, they'd be out there having a go, and you'd have everybody else with their rifles going pew pew.
But you look at how many people that react like EastEnders and Coronation Street is real.
Don't even get my ex religiously watch every single soap.
They talk about it like it's actual real life, and you're like, it's just a story.
Just no. EastEnders and stuff like that. So sum it up, Rendlesham Forest, real or fake?
I think something happened there.
Yeah,
I don't believe, like we said, with the Orford Nest Lighthouse. Them lighthouse, the lights from a lighthouse are not something you want shining in. I don't matter how much blackout curtains you've got in your house. You get a lighthouse beam coming through your window, you'll soon know about it.
You watch any movie or any documentary, anything about lighthouses, Google it, look it up. It has to be blanked off where the light would shine onto a town or village or whatever.
Well, you look at these projectors. Well, they're 1,300. I think it's something like 1,300 lumens for a basic projector. Now you take a lighthouse beam, and that is into the millions of lumens. I think I'm not too sure. I would probably have to go. Do you know what? We'll do it while we've got a second.
It's a huge ass bulb, I know that.
How many lumens is a lighthouse? Light. There we go. Right. 1 million. 1 million candle power.
Jesus.
So when you've got a basic projector at 1,300 lumens, and that's like 1 million.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that though. You wouldn't want that going boof into your front room.
You certainly wouldn't want that rotating into your house every night.
They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to.
No, they have to. They have to have a screen up on the land-based side of the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And even then, it's only to warn ships that it's there. So I can't see how they can use that as an excuse.
I think It's like all UFO sightings where you've got multiple witnesses. Any government will always turn around and go, no, didn't happen. It was marsh gas. It was a weather balloon. It was this. You were mistaken. Didn't happen. It was the Smurfs, you know?
The thing is as well, though, with in particular with Rendlesham Forest, it's not just the US military that saw it. It was local people had seen it as well because they called the police and the police investigated it. So
that's right. Yeah.
It wasn't just the American Armed Forces trying to cover something up or do whatever, because other people had seen it at the same time.
Yeah. So
that in itself is a more credible story, simply because it wasn't just the USAF personnel that had seen it.
Yeah.
And I think there was 3 or 4 of them, wasn't there, in total, that went out and actually investigated it.
Yeah, because like I say, they had to wait until the security came on base properly, and then they had to hand over complete jurisdiction, all their reports, everything.
Yeah. So on all of that, I personally think something did happen there, and I think they may have tried to try and push us to one side and come out with the excuses, but I think they've looked at it and they've gone, there's too many people have seen this. It's going to be too difficult to cover it up. Maybe in America we might have been able to have covered it up a lot easier, but in the UK it's not that easy. Too many people have seen it. We're going to have to try and do our best to blindside people as much as we can.
Well, the thing is, quickly before we go, you've got, as we said earlier, the US government who's gone, no, UFOs, no such thing. We don't know what they are, where they come from, but they're definitely not from another planet. And then you've got like us over here going, bollocks, mate, UFOs. And then, it's exactly what you just said. You had the US government take over all proceedings of the Rendlesham Forest incident because it came under their jurisdiction. But it was too late. You had UK witnesses who look, bugger off, mate. You don't know what you're talking about. There was this, there was that,
It's easy on your own land to threaten people and say you've got to keep your gob shut or there's trouble. But it's not as easy to do that in somebody else's country.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that person's likely to turn around and go, who the hell, bloody hell does he think he's talking to? Stupid yank, blah, blah, blah. And they'll then make that public that the CIA tried to suppress the information or try to threaten them. And that just causes problems.
Man in black, no, he tried to normalise me. He turned up and he went like this with this thing and it started buzzing and vibrating. I didn't know what it was. I ran for my life. And on that note, I'm going to have to say that's it because I've got to go and pick my friend's granddaughter up from the train station for him. So
you almost said airport then.
I did nearly say airport. No, it's a train station. I'll be back on Sunday with the rearview mirror. My daughter will be helping me at some point once she's put my grandson to bed. That'll be at 8 p.m. on Sunday. When's your next radio show coming out?
My next what show?
Radio show. Andrea.
Evening, Andrew. Sorry, you just joined us as we're about to finish.
We're just
No, tomorrow night we are proudly re-recording. We are actually back out again. Truth Beyond Paranormal now has been picked up by Fuseology Productions Limited. And we are now actually going out filming an episode ready for Amazon Prime tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to that, and it's going to be chaos because there's going to be about 16 people in a small flat to start off with.
I've heard all about your little parties in flats with 16 people. We know all about that, you filthy beast.
And then it's going to be wandering off into some rather spooky woods and some spooky moorlands. So it's going to be quite a good one. So I've technically got to have an early night tonight, but it's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos.
First one, mate.
July is going to be a very busy month for me because I'm still writing my 4th book and it's just being a bit chaos at the moment.
Well, good luck, and I will see you next Tuesday. Do you want me next Tuesday? What am I talking about? Friday, shall we carry on with the aliens and do
Yeah, I
something
think so.
aliens, because it seems to be we had loads of people in tonight. Really good show. Really pleased with that. Last week's was the Montauk chair, and this week was aliens. So I think we'll carry on along that vein.
We'll stick with aliens. I think that's probably better.
Yeah. On that note, it's good night from him.
And it's good night from him.
Bugger me, we did it both right at the same time. Look at that. Oh. What's that? Michelangelo's painting, wasn't it? Ding!
Yeah, something like it. Just don't join in the middle, though, does it?
So, adios, everybody. We will that way. We'll see you. I'll see you Sunday, 8 o'clock, and we'll be back whenever his shows are in the week. I can't remember. He did say. Yeah, rewind it. And we'll be back on Friday, 9 p.m.
Good night, all.
Take it easy and have a good weekend.